All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining us on today's Bellator 243 Virtual Media Day. We're looking forward to another great card at the Mohegan Sun this Friday night with Bellator 243 Chandler versus Henderson 2. The event airs live on Paramount Network at 10 p.m. Eastern and will simulcast on DAZN. On today's virtual media availability, we will have 10 to 12-minute blocks with each of our main competitors: Matt Mitrione, Miles Jury, Sabah Homasi, Valerie Loretta, Tim Johnson, Georgie Karkanyan, Michael Chandler, Curtis Millender, and we will begin with Benson Henderson. If you have a question for the fighters, please use the raise hand button on the bottom of your screen. When it's your turn to ask a question, you'll be asked to unmute your line and you will be able to ask your question. If you have any issues, you can send me messages through the chat feature, and we will begin here momentarily with Benson. All right, our first question will go to Brian Campbell. Your line is live.
Benson, great talking to you as always, man. Everyone's writing about the storyline of this fight being more about Michael Chandler and the end of his Bellator deal. What's the storyline from your perspective about what this fight means to your career?
Brian, hang on 1 second. We're having a technical issue. Hang on 1 second, please.
Sorry, man.
All right, Brian, can you try that again?
Sure. How about now? Can you hear me, Benson?
Go ahead.
All right, Benson. We good?
Hang on 1 second.
I can hear him, but I don't.
All right, give it a shot, Brian.
All right, Benson. You good? All right.
Good.
It seems the storyline ahead of this fight from everyone is more about the end of Chandler's Bellator deal. From your perspective in your career, what's at stake? What's on the line? What's the storyline for Benson Henderson in this one?
Same as every fight. You know, at a certain point in your career, one of the very first fight of your career it starts off with a bang. Every fight you have is the most important fight of your career. Doesn't matter what it is you did before. It doesn't matter, you know, the world we live in, the society we live in. Our attention span is pretty short. And I remember, Shogun Hua did 15 years ago, how bad he was. What about his last fight? The last fight, he looked like the man. Everyone's like, oh, he's awesome, he's great, he's amazing, he's yada, yada, yada. That's what you'll remember is your last fight. So for me, it is the most important fight I've ever had in my entire life. And I trained that way.
Take me back to that first one, if you can, and just tell the story of the fight from your perspective.
First fight, the biggest thing I think was Chandler had a big first round. You look at all the highlight clips, all the videos of it, everyone talking about the fight. Every positive thing that they say was all about Chandler's first round. And then the rest of the fight leaned more my way. So for me, it's about making sure I go out there and start with a gangbuster first round, and I set the pace. Make him tired, make him exhausted, and then the fight from there should again lean my way, should go my way. I got to bring the fight to him. I got to keep that at such a high level the entire time. I can't give him those 30-second, those 20-second breaks that he's used to. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
All right, I want to close with this. You're on a 4-fight win streak, which is obviously different from the 1-2 start for you in Bellator. What has been the difference between those two sets of fights for you?
No difference. You know, sorry to have the coach speak for you, but the same thing. You get up, you get ready every day. You have the same preparations. You trust the process. You trust your coaches, trust your training partners. Sometimes fights go your way. Sometimes they don't go your way. There was no revolutionary new yoga program I tried. I started doing new yoga or started doing these breathing exercises. No, it's just the daily work, the daily grind you put in. Some fights go your way. Some fights don't go your way. And that's what it is. In the last 4 fights, I have gone my way. I've gotten my hand raised. Being introduced into a new organization, that's definitely different. That plays a little bit small factor into it. But getting used to the organization, getting used to the guys behind the stage, being used to how they walk you out, all that sort of stuff, I think does play a little bit of a factor. But ultimately, it's just the daily grind. And, sometimes games go your way. You're an inch short one game, you're an inch too long in the next game. But sometimes you get those calls. Sometimes you're at the right distance, the right timing, and fights go your way.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, next question. We'll go to Steve Jewin. Your line is live.
Thank you. Benson, my first question is about the interaction you had with Michael Chandler during Bellator 242. Benson, can you hear me?
I got you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to ask you about that interaction you had with Michael Chandler at Bellator 242. It seemed a little bit awkward, if you don't mind me saying so, and I wonder if it's hard for you as such a God-fearing Christian man to really get into the heat of the moment and talk smack like that.
Well, which moment are you talking about?
When
242.
During the live Bellator 242 broadcast, when you and Chandler were on video together, talking back and forth.
Oh. It's hard. Like, you guys are the reporters. You guys are smart. You guys ask the right, proper questions to get the response you want to hear. Like, so what do you think about his shoes? Were his shoes okay? Like, I didn't really like his shoes. Oh, you didn't like his shoes? Okay, well, you don't like it, so you have a problem with his personality. You don't like him, right? Like, no, I said I didn't like his shoes. Like, so you guys are smart. You guys are good. You guys get the response you guys want to hear. You guys get the audio sound bit, the answer you guys want to hear. But I think, for me, I don't really like Chandler, but it's not that big a deal. You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to like your coworkers. You don't have to like your family. You don't have to like your brothers or sisters. You gotta love them, but you don't have to like them that much. I don't necessarily think Chandler is my cup of tea. I don't think he really cares that I don't necessarily like him as a person. I don't think he's a super stand-up, good, Dudley do-right person. I think he likes to portray that image, but I don't think he's necessarily like that at heart. But what does it matter what my opinion is somebody else, We're going to fist fight. We don't need to be friends anyways. So, but no, I just don't necessarily like him. And then the reporters keep bringing that up. I'm like, it's not that big a deal, but yeah, I don't really like him. I don't know.
Well, let's put aside not liking him, and I hope you won't take this as sound baiting when I ask this, but even in not liking him, do you still respect him, not only having fought him for 5 rounds, but seeing that he's the 3-time Bellator lightweight champion, do you respect him?
That's a tough question. Maybe I respect some of the things he has done. He's adopted a child. Mad respect for that. For him and his wife for adopting a child. Mad respect, a ton of respect for that. I'm hoping my wife and I will later on at some point in time where we would also be lucky enough to maybe adopt a few kids and change their lives and give them some love. So mad respect for Chandler for that. But some of the other things I don't necessarily have a ton of respect for him for. But I don't think he really cares whether I respect him or not. But a ton of respect for Chandler on the fact that he has adopted a child. So that's amazing.
All right, final question before I let you go. Chandler has insisted that the first fight was decisive. He clearly won at least 4 out of 5 rounds. I think the 5th round was very decisive for you, and all of those other rounds are up for debate. So what do you say looking back now on that first fight as you prepare for the next one?
If I'm asked a question and I have to respond, I have to reply, then I have to think of something to say. I have to give an answer back. But I don't really think that much. I don't really like if I'm at home, I don't ever think about the fight. If I'm it's only ever when it's brought up to me do I have to have an answer for that. But the first fight is what it is. All my fights they are what they are. You can look back at them, you can judge them, you can score them yourself, and you can come to your own conclusion. You can think this, you can think that. It's cool. It's in the past. It doesn't really matter. Chandler obviously has his own opinion. I have my opinion. I know I won that fight. I know he was a dang near broken man from that 4th round going to the 5th round. Looking at his eyes, I knew. See him after the fight. He knew he lost. You don't push a fighter after fight. How many guys have had bad blood and feuded and this and that. And after fight, what do? They shake hands. Like, oh, good job. Like, man, great fight, tough fight, whatever. They say something, they shake hands. And but someone a fighter who pushes another fighter after a fight, after having spent 25 minutes trying to beat the person up, after the bell rings, then you push him, to me, that shows a serious amount of your character right there. It shows that you knew you lost, or he felt he lost before the judges gave him that fight. So that to me, that says enough right there.
Much respect, Benson. Best of the luck to you on Friday, and thank you for the time as always.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, our next question comes from Gareth A. Davies. Your line is live.
A very good evening from sunny. Oh, I was trying to video that and then I lost the video. Very good evening from sunny England, Benson.
Sunny over there right now? Wow.
Well, I can't move, can I? I'm bloody stuck here. Otherwise, I'd be with you right now in the bubble.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to go over this because it's kind of been talked about by other people, but my question, when you don't like someone, but you obviously respect something they've done in their life, but when you don't like someone, is it important when you're preparing to fight them that you don't let it become an emotional fight for you, and that you make emotional decisions when you fight that person?
I think for some people, it's kind of hard if you don't like somebody and then you're going to get into a fist fight with them. It definitely can easily turn into a very emotional, very upset, you're trying to, whatever. But for me, I've never really had that problem. I'm pretty cool, calm, collected. If I like somebody, if I don't like somebody, I'm gonna go beat them up. So no, I don't really have that problem. I've never really had to deal with that situation. Most people I fight, whether I've got my hand raised or dad got my hand raised, Korshkov threw the worst whooping of my life and anything ever. Like he whooped my butt. I got mad respect for the guy. I love that guy. He's awesome. So a ton of respect for Korshkov. I like Korshkov. We message each other back and forth on Instagram and whatnot. He's a good dude. So like that guy gave me a whooping. If I can like him, I don't have a problem with liking people in that way. But just with liking fighting somebody you don't like, I've never really had that issue before.
Thank you. When you go into the 26th minute of what is likely to be a violent physical chess match, as the first one was, is it about who makes the adjustments this time around, do you think? I
think for sure. I think a huge part. People see the punching, the kicking, the blood, the gore, but they don't realize there is a chess match to that, and it's all about those little small adjustments. Your timing, a half second too slow, a half second faster, getting the punch aimed down a little bit lower because he's a little bit shorter. So a lot of punches went a little bit too high, but now you're punching down lower for the past 3-4 months, getting ready for that. All those little small tiny adjustments, they play a huge factor into the fight, into who gets a hand raised next. And I made sure I did all my work, crossed my T's, dotted my I's, and make sure that I did just that in preparation for this fight.
Thank you. Final one from me. You've been working with Crouch, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Is he there with you?
Not right now. No, they did not allow any corners into the media area room.
No. But he's in Mohegan with you. Yeah? But he's in Mohegan.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Knowing him, he doesn't leave a stone unturned. Have you guys done anything about there being no audience psychologically?
No, I just a lot of talking about it. I have myself, did a visualization. I made sure I was at the very first UFC event cornering a good buddy, John McDessie. I cornered him for the very first UFC event where there was no crowd. And, you have to say the right things to the fighter. Like, oh, it's not a big deal. Go out there and go do your thing. No crowd. It's okay. No big deal. But then, my buddy Rob Emerson and I, my striking coach, we were walking out cornering John, and we looked at each other like, wow, this is kind of crazy. Like, there's no crowd here. Like, this is definitely different. Yeah. But then we looked at John like, oh, it's okay. No big deal. Like, go get him. Go do your thing. Like, you have to say the right thing to the athlete. But me as a coach, looking at my buddy, at John, I was like, oh man, like this is different. I wonder how he's feeling in there with no crowd. Like this is different. So I made sure that I went out and I had one competition. I did a jiu-jitsu competition for a Fight to Win Pro, where they had no crowd. So I actually got to experience it one time, walking out, having no crowd, silent, and then competing, just to make sure there was nothing in the back of my head about going out there competing with no crowd. Is not going to be my first time.
Great to see you, Benson. You look great. You sound great. Best of luck Friday night, mate.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, our last question for Benson will come from Ben Keeley. Your line is live.
Benson. So I understand your wife recently gave birth to a baby girl. So congratulations, Benson. How does it feel to be a father again?
It's good. It's great. That whole no sleep thing when the babies are newborns, that's a real thing. That's tough. But it's great. You know, my boys, they all love their little sister to death. They smother her in kisses. They're like, oh, you love gentle. But they love her to death. So it's awesome to see their love for her. She's a little bundle of joy to my wife right now. Just staying close to my wife. But yeah, she's awesome. Being a father for the fourth time, it's fun. It's an
Any
adventure.
more children planned?
No. The day my wife found out, the day we found out we were pregnant for the fourth time, it was unexpected. It was unplanned. But the day we found out, my wife was like, "Oh, hey, we're pregnant. Oh, hey, by the way, I made a phone call. You're scheduled for an appointment to go see a doctor, get sniffed." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's no problem." So no more children for the Team Henderson.
Oh, fantastic. And I know with all the lockdown measures, have you picked up any new hobbies, or have the children been kind of keeping you busy during the lockdown?
Yeah, mostly the kids have kept us pretty busy. No new hobbies for me. I got three. I got a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and they are pretty wild, full of energy. So trying to keep them busy, contained, productive, and somewhat learning, so they're not missing out too much. But that has my handfuls.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Benson.
Yeah, of course, Ben.
All right. Thank you very much, Benson. We'll be back shortly with Georgie Karkanyan. All right. We're now being joined by Georgie Karkanyan. Our first question will come from the line of Kevin Varghese. Your line is live.
Hey, Georgie, how you doing?
Good.
My question is, how have you been handling the training camp with the whole coronavirus been going on?
I've been handling really well, man. I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the media. I got back from Ireland. I took a week off, and I was back in the gym and just training, getting better.
For this fight, are you going to be taking any different approaches with your opponent or not?
My approach with every fight is to finish him, so it doesn't change anything up. Just going to go out there and look for a finish.
So if you win this fight, what do you plan on doing next?
I plan on coming back in 2 weeks and fighting her again, but if they keep me busy, man, I want to fight at least 4 times. So there's a few 50 fighters on my list, so I would like to get hold of them.
Georgie, thanks and good luck this Friday, all right?
Thank you, bro.
Our next question comes from Steve Jewin. Your line is live.
Thank you, Georgie. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you mentioned that win in Ireland. That was a very dominant performance against Paul Redmond. Is that more satisfying to you after some of the recent frustrations you've had in Russia and elsewhere?
Yeah. It was pretty satisfying to go out there against a hometown fighter and just get the W. But I feel like the ups and downs are part of the sport, so it doesn't bother me.
I understand that. But speaking of those ups and downs, you are a former champion from your World Series of Fighting days. Is that something that you're looking forward to getting back into contention in Bellator? Because you've been there before.
Of course. Pitbull is the 55, 45-pound champion. I don't see myself anytime soon going back to 45. Yeah, after this fight, I don't think I should be in any title contentions. There's a lot of guys. There's a few guys ahead of me, but I keep stacking up some wins, and I think the title will come soon.
That's fair. And you said that you had a few names on your list and that you'd like to stay really active. Can you give us at least one of those names that you'd like to fight next?
One of those guys actually on the same card. He's fighting the main event, so his name is Henderson. So we'll see how that fight goes. But he fought my training partner Saeed Awad, and I feel like I match up with him really well. He's a great fighter, but he's one of them.
All right. Well, hopefully that fight's coming your way, and we look forward to seeing how you do on Friday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, our next question comes from Ben Keeley. Your line is live.
Hi, Georgie. So when you're in Dublin, I understand your wife had a baby the night you fought Paul Redmond. So can you just describe me how that happened? I know you only found out on the night, or was it after the fight you found out?
Yeah, so as soon as the fight was done, I pretty much FaceTimed my mother-in-law because she was there with her, and she had the baby like literally like an hour after the fight. So yeah.
Oh wow. So how is fatherhood been like? Is this your first child?
This is my third one. It was a boy, so no more kids for me. You know, I have 2 daughters and I have a baby boy, so that's it. Maybe I'll go chop my little thing so I don't have many babies, but yeah, no more kids for me.
I know your friends got into some sort of altercation in a kebab shop in Dublin as well. Can you explain to me what happened there too?
Yeah, they were. So the second night we were in Ireland, they went out and they were like a group of guys. I think they were like 16, 17 years old. They didn't like their, I guess they didn't like their attitude. So they wanted to beat them up really bad, but they didn't know they're fighters. But, you know, my corners, you know, they kept it professional because I don't think they want to get in a fight with them. It was a group of good guys, you know, Juan Archuleta, Arnold, and there's a lot of fighters there. So it was all cool, you know. I think the cops came in and it was great. So nothing serious happened.
God, they dodged a bullet there. Did you develop any new hobbies under the lockdown measures? Or are you busy training?
Man, I just stayed busy, brother. I trained a lot. I read a bunch of books. I work with my kids. We're gardening a lot. We're outside a lot, playing soccer with my kids. It's weird. I feel like the one thing I benefited is just I was really close with my family and my kids, but I got connected in a weird way. And yeah, it was good.
And one last question for me. Why Benson Henderson? Why do you single him out as the person you want to fight?
I think I match up pretty well with him. I don't know. Just I feel like watching his past few fights, I match up really well with them, and you know that's in the future. But I think I'll do really good against Ben. Just nothing but respect to him, and yeah. But I feel like I match up good.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our last question comes from Kevin Varghese. Your line is live.
Hey, Georgie, I have one last question for you. So in the post-fight press conference for Bellator 242, you know, Aaron Pico was asked about, you know, possibly fighting AJ McKee, and he put it to the side that AJ will be moving up to 155. I know you fought him in the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix, and it was a quick fight. We really didn't get to see you fight him properly. Would that be a possible rematch for you in the future?
Of course. Yeah, I would like to get my rematch, but I want to stack up some wins. But yeah, man, like I didn't get to display what you know, what kind of fighter I'm that night. I got caught. All the props to AJ. You know, I want him to go ahead and win that $1 million tournament. But Of course, at 55, you know, I have a mentality of kill or be killed, and that's how I've been my whole career. So I would like to. I didn't know this, but yeah, I would like to do that. That's for sure.
All right. Thank you, Georgie. We'll be back shortly with Tim Johnson. All right, we're now being joined by Tim Johnson. Our first question will come from Steve Jewin.
Thank you, Tim. First, I want to say congratulations on your last fight with Tyrell Fortune. Very dominant win. You put him out in the first round, and he was highly touted as an up-and-coming prospect going into that fight. So do you see this as like a rebirth of your career?
Yeah, probably. You know, a lot of people wrote me off. A lot of people did going into that fight, and it kind of put a little chip on my shoulder. As in, seems like everyone forgot the type of people I fought in the UFC. The two guys I fought when I came to Bellator, and just because I got, you know, lost in horrific fashion to them, seemed to think that maybe I was on my way out. And I just didn't want to be I did not want to be a stepping stone. And you know, my back was against the wall. You know, if I lost that fight, I probably would have been back on the regional level. And if I was back on the regional level, I think it probably been, I would have considered, you know, it was probably time to go back and start my, you know, career after fighting, and probably would have been done. So definitely put a fire under my rear, and yeah, you know, got a great outcome and got another chance to kind of hopefully work my way up the ladder.
Well, Matt Mitrione would be a huge step up the ladder if you're able to get the W over him. So how do you see that fight going in your head?
In my head, in the perfect world, you know, would be, you know, get into a grind situation, get on the fence, find a good opening for a takedown, and kind of get you know, doing something Bader wasn't able to do, get a finish with a TKO.
That would be exciting. We'd look forward to that. But what about the fact that Matt Mitrione holds career wins over people like Fedor Emelianenko? Does that play into the back of your head at all?
No, not really. You know, he's got some great wins. I consider some of my wins some good wins. And yeah, he's definitely got talent in his hands and his athletic ability to, you know, to take out pretty much anybody. But you know, same thing. He's definitely got holes in his game like I do, and hopefully I can exploit them.
Well, with career wins over the likes of Marcin Tybura and Shamil Abdurakhimov, I don't think anybody can doubt you. So have a great performance on Friday. We look forward to seeing it.
All right, thank you.
Our next question comes from Steven Morocco. Your line is live.
Hey, Tim. When you said you were close to considering starting your other career, what is that career?
It's actually still I do it to this day. Every fall and harvest, I go back to Minnesota, and I spread dry fertilizer. I work for a cooperative in an agronomy plant. It's what I went to school for, to be an agronomist, and then I went to school again to be and got my degree in criminal justice. But my heart's in the Midwest. The fields of the cornfields of the Midwest is where I love to be, and so I get a lot of working hours doing that.
Does that provide a good living?
It does. It's all about hours for that. During the winter, you really don't do much, but during the fall and summer, you get a lot of hours. I think last fall, I was averaging, you know, 100-hour work weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have like a, you know, 1 year, 5 year plan at this point in your career, your MMA career?
Yeah, probably more like a three-year plan. It's, you know, I'm 35. People seem to think I'm like 40 or something. and that's why maybe I was clean shaven and remind people I'm not as old as I always appear. Yeah, it's definitely things, you know, I think 3 years left on the career. If I can make it to 38, that'd be a pretty solid goal. Get, you know, anywhere between 8 to 12 fights left in me, and see where everything ends up. But, it's definitely getting to the point where I'm starting to think about life beyond fighting, and fighting's a means to the end. Even though I love to compete, I've been a competitor my whole life. It's definitely in the 3-year plan.
Do you think about that a rematch with Czech Congo often, now that you guys are, sharing the same? He's the one that sort of introduced you to the promotion, and he's obviously within reach.
Yes, that's things. If things go well, go my way for against Matt, I think that'd be. I'd love the opportunity to do that again. There's, I think there's a fight card in September. I'd love to do a quick turnaround and get another fight in and win or lose. But that would be I think that'd be a good fight to kind of show myself, kind of prove to myself, kind of that I've still got it and get it. And win against Czech would put you right back in line for maybe a title contention.
Do you think that Bader's going to be able to hold on to the heavyweight title this year?
I'm not sure what Bader's going to do. I hope he chooses here pretty quick what weight class he's going to go, because it's kind of putting a traffic jam in the light heavyweight and heavyweight. So hopefully here pretty soon that we're going to find out if he's going to go keep light heavyweight or go heavyweight and kind of open up either one of the weight classes so it can get him moving again.
Thank you, Tim.
Our next question comes from Andrew McCarroll.
Hi, Tim. Hope you're well. I noticed on your Instagram, amongst other things I wish I hadn't seen, that you're training with Roy Nelson and Francis Ngannou. Where do you measure yourself against guys like that when you're training with them day in and day out?
I measure myself with when I'm on my game. I can compete with anybody, and it shows in the practice room. And any athlete who's honest with himself knows that some days are off, some days are on, but you're on days, that's where you know where you're actually at. And what I said after my win against Tyrell got brought up, something like that. And I was like, I'm hanging with these guys just fine in the practice room, but sometimes it just doesn't come out on fight day. But you can lay it the way, you can word it however you want. Just sometimes the fighter that I know I am, doesn't always show up. And it's just a battle within yourself to make sure that that's the one who shows up here on Friday.
Fighters are always talking about it's like going to war. It's like going to war. Someone who is actually a combat veteran yourself, are those two experiences actually comparable in any way, or is there anything you can take from your experience as a combat veteran that you can bring into the cage?
Yeah, it's fighting's easy compared to driving down the roads of Iraq. But there is some comparability to it, as in when you're on the the lines, ready to drive out, ready to get your mission going. You got anxiety, you got some anxiety, you got some adrenaline. But once you get on the road and start driving, everything calms down, you get back to normal. And so that's very comparable to a fight. You're on the walkout, the first couple 30 seconds of a fight, you're all high, you're tense, you're trying to calm yourself down. Eventually kind of stuff just rolls in and your training kicks in. You fall back on your training, just like in the military sense.
And finally, probably the most important question, will we see the mustache again?
Maybe in the future. We're going to be seeing here. I actually might be here in the fall here. Probably be rejoining the military again. It was always in my long-term plans to do it. And I think I took about a 4-year hiatus, and now, got a little girl on the way. So thinking about the future stuff now. And so I can't grow a beard anymore in the military. So the only facial hair I'd be able to grow is a mustache. So yeah, you'll probably be seeing it here again.
Best luck with your fight. Pleasure to speak to you, Tim. Congratulations on the new arrival as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Ben Keeley.
Hi, Tim. Congrats again on the new arrival. And you got married this year as well, so congrats on that.
Yep. Thank you.
How does it feel to be a married man?
It's life doesn't change too much, except you say yes, dear, a little bit with a little more effort.
Fantastic. Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you trained with Francis Ngannou. For someone who's never experienced his punching power, how can you describe it? Can you put that into words?
It's like getting hit with a truck. He's dropped me with a couple liver shots, a handful of times. That's and he's rattled my head, rattled the brain around a little bit. He hits hard. And the thing is, even when he's not trying to hit you hard, he hits hard. So it's just one of those natural things that you can't really teach. You have it. Like I can't throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, no matter how much you teach me. It's kind of the same thing with him. It's just natural.
Do you still bounce at strip clubs?
No, I do not now. No, ever since I moved out of Fargo, no more working in there. My only job is coming back to the Midwest for spring and fall for planting season and harvest, and get about 3 weeks of work in each fall and harvest, then go back to Vegas.
During your bouncing days, do you remember any particularly rowdy clientele, or do you remember like any times where it got a bit ropey, I guess? Has it ever gotten dangerous, I suppose, is what I'm trying to ask?
Oh yeah, at the club, yeah, there's been a couple knives pulled. We had a couple handgun violations. We had a guy actually got mad because he was on our ban list because he caused troubles, and walked out the door and popped a couple shots off at the club. So, yeah. I mean, little old Fargo does sometimes have his bad apples, but yeah, overall it was pretty calm. But about once a week there'd be someone who would get their beer muscles on and would want to fight somebody.
Well, that sounds almost as dangerous as sparring with Francis Ngannou. Did you develop any new hobbies during the coronavirus lockdown?
Yeah, gaining a gut. You don't get a lot of exercise when you're driving around in tractors. I can tell you that. When the shutdown happened in March, I went back to Minnesota and started working right away. So I was working from middle of March till just probably July 1st, and that's when I got, hey, you're probably gonna be fighting here in August, so you probably should get back and start working out. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. I probably need to anyways.
All right, fantastic, Tim. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Our last questions will come from Kevin Varghese.
Hey, Tim, Kevin from Overtime Heroics. How you doing?
Doing good.
All right, so, Ryan Bader's actually defending his light heavyweight championship in the next pay-per-view in Bellator 244. So who do you think, if there had to be a number one contenders fight, would be fighting for the heavyweight championship? If there had to be a number one contenders fight?
Minikoff. That's probably no joke. I wouldn't, even though Czech beat him, I'm still putting Minikoff as the number one contender.
So how far do you see yourself from title contention at the moment? How many fights do you think you need to win to get a shot at Ryan Bader possibly?
Probably 2 solid wins. Could possibly do it, but maybe 3. It depends on the opponents, and a win against Matt would put me in the driver's seat to maybe possibly get a rematch with Czech, which hopefully that one, if you get 2 wins like that, then you could possibly be in the title contention, considering that Czech and Vitali both fought to get there in that title. So somewhere around there, I would say.
All right, so you fought Vitali almost on like 12 hours notice per se.
Like eight.
Right? Yeah. So obviously not a lot of time for game planning. You just had to go in there, fight on just your wit. From watching that first fight, do you know how you can beat him, or was he actually like you experienced the game plan he had, and it's like a pretty tough game plan?
You don't fight a guy in his level on 8 hours notice. I figured that out the hard way. No, it'll be a good mindset thing. Like if we fight again, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that could happen already happened. So I don't need to worry about that. I can just concentrate on, trying to implement a good game plan, with a little more time, and try to not get tossed around like a rag doll.
All right. Last question is, you emphasize that against Matt Mitrione, you plan on using your wrestling. So, are you gonna go in looking for the takedown, or are you gonna, gauge your distance and see where where his weak point is and take him down?
Yeah, I'm not going to rush wrestling. I'm not going to push wrestling. There's one thing, I don't mind losses in fighting or in anything as long as you learn something from them. And my Czech Congo fight, I definitely learned something. I wasn't feeling comfortable on my feet the first handful, 20 seconds in, whatever, and I rushed in for a takedown that wasn't there. I tried pushing something that wasn't there, and it didn't end up, and it ended up being the demise of me. And I'm not going to make that mistake twice. I don't want people over to really take my wrestling. When I said I plan on wrestling, it's not, I'm going to go push wrestling. I'm going to stand in front of them and wait for an opening. I don't care. I mean, I might have to take a couple punches to the head with a little bit of a licking to find it, but I'm not going to push anything that's not there.
All right. And we're wishing you good luck from the Overtime Heroics group. All right. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
All right.
We're going to have a little schedule shift. We are going to Valerie Loretta next. She'll be with us shortly. All right. We're now being joined by Valerie Loretta. We'll start the questioning with Steve Jewin. Your line is live.
Thank you, Master Valerie Loretta. It's a pleasure to talk to you today. You're undefeated so far in your Bellator MMA career, but of course, so is the flyweight champion, Ali Malay McFarland. So, with another win, is it too soon to start talking about a title shot?
I think nothing's too soon. I respect her, and I'm going on my path at the time that Bellator feels is right and my manager feels is right, and I'm following what they tell me. I'm always going to say, oh, I want to fight for the title, but they're doing what's best for me, and I'm just trusting the process and the path.
Very good. You're a martial arts master, you're a model, and you've done so many things in your career, broadcaster, actress. What's the most satisfying for you?
Martial arts, I could be successful in any career I want, and I'm choosing to go this route because I know that the talent and the passion I have for this sport isn't ordinary. I don't have to be doing this. I could have stopped after my taekwondo career and gone into broadcast journalism or just gone into my acting route. But no, I decided to do this. I know what I'm capable of. I know my potential, and I know that there's something I need to prove to the world.
All right, final question for me. How do you sum up Tara Graf as an opponent going into Bellator 243 this Friday?
I think she's a lot older than me. She has a lot of experience. She has a lot of amateur fights. We're both we both have 2 fights as pros, but I don't guide by that. I know she's going to go in there aggressive to clinch me, try to take me down, and I just don't think she realizes how strong I am.
Well, she's going to find out on Friday. Master Valerie Loretta, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question will go to Brendan Tobin. Your line is live.
Hey, Valerie. I know people down here in Miami are very excited for your fight. Have you heard anything as far as people back home, plans to, responsibly, get together to watch you, and just kind of what memos have you heard from South Florida as you enter the cage this weekend?
Yes, everyone is so excited. Everybody I know, my high school or went to, my elementaries, everybody who's been following my career. All my Cubans in Miami are ready to watch me fight Friday, and George couldn't get that first win for us, but I know I am.
And just what this year's been for you, as far as I'm sure you probably want to get a few more in the cage. It's been crazy for everybody, but just how happy are you to be at this point where you finally get back in action and then move your career along?
Yeah, I'm just so honored and blessed. A lot of fighters don't have the same opportunity I have, and I will be the first female to get in that Bellator cage in this quarantine process. I'm just really excited. I'm also very blessed that I get to get paid as well. I'm lucky that I stayed ready during quarantine. I was close to weight, so when Bellator called me 3 weeks ago, I was able to put together a quick camp and just let's go, let's do this. So I'm just looking forward to walking to that cage Friday and becoming 3-0.
Appreciate the time. Best luck.
Thank you.
Our next question will go to Mark Piocos. Your line is live.
Hey, Valerie. My first question is, your last fight, you went the full 15 minutes. What was that experience like for you? And, what were some of the learning lessons you took from that fight?
So my last fight, I was I was upset about it at first, but then I was grateful for it because it was 15 full minutes in a cage. I wasn't tired, and this girl was going at me with everything, and I learned about her a week before. She was a southpaw. It was a lot of adversity I had to face and change, and I'm just grateful with the outcome. But that fight I took away from me, that every girl that walks into the cage with me is out to kill me, and this is the opportunity of their life. So I always have to be prepared for more than that. It doesn't matter who it is in front of me. I know Tara's gonna come in the same way, and I'm gonna use the experience I learned from my last fight into this fight.
Now, going into this fight, I mean, it might be a little bit jarring that you may there's no audience there, so obviously no crowd noise. You'll be able to hear your coaches more clearly. On the other hand, kind of what's your expectations coming in to this fight, knowing that there's no crowd there and it's going to be somewhat quiet?
I feel a lot less pressure. I've been sparring like that since I was a baby. Every Wednesday, my dad used to do sparrings like that, where it was just us in the gym sparring, and my dad would coach me. But this time, I feel a lot less pressure. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel a lot less pressure. I feel like it's gonna be funner. You don't have to think about the crowd or all of that, and just go in there and have fun. Listen to your coaches. It's like a sparring at American Top Team in our cage, and just perform at my best.
A final question. One of your goals coming into fighting was to kind of change the perception of what Taekwondo was in this sport. How do you feel that goal is coming around right now? Do you feel that a lot more people are kind of respecting the sport of Taekwondo now?
Yes, 100%. I feel like Taekwondo is becoming a lot more prominent in mixed martial arts. A lot of people want to do the techniques that I know how to do, and Taekwondo is the type of sport that if you don't start it from a very early age, it's very hard to get that footwork. And I'm just blessed that I do have that. Taekwondo is a beautiful martial art, and it comes out of me naturally in the cage. A lot of things in Taekwondo you can't do in a cage, but a lot of things I've picked up and I use in my MMA. So I know exactly how to use my Taekwondo in the cage and show off on my pretty kicks and knock someone out.
Well, thanks a lot for your time, Valerie, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Mark Zero Giannis.
Master Laredo, Mark Sorianis, Taekwondo Life Magazine. How are you?
Hello, sir.
How are you, ma'am? The question for you is how this very difficult time during the pandemic, how did your Taekwondo training and your Taekwondo background help you to cope with the challenges of this unprecedented time?
Well, the number one thing that I do have as a master in Taekwondo is my discipline and my respect. And I take that with me in life, and I take that with me in my MMA career. And I feel like the discipline that Taekwondo gave me being a master and doing it my whole life was able to help me cope with the adversity of quarantine, stay fit, stay close to my weight, keep my goal in mind, not lose track of myself, and stay ready for when Bellator calls me.
Very good. Thank you. We look forward to seeing your performance on Friday night.
Thank you, sir.
Our next question goes to John Eric Polai.
Hi, Valerie. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Good. So, Valerie, my first question for you. It's been a little over a year since we've last seen you inside of the Bellator cage. Every fighter has a different take on ring rust. What's your opinion on it? Are you worried about it at all?
No, just because I haven't been in the cage for a year, but I have been sparring like crazy at home, and I did Joanna's camp for that fight, and then quarantine happened. So I just think I've been doing this for so long. I really don't feel I don't feel like it's been a year. I feel like it's been like maybe 3 months since I last fought. I feel very fresh, and I don't think that's a worry going into this fight.
Yeah, and then it's the last thing for me here. You just mentioned Ioane and Jacek. I know that you train with her. How has she helped you improve as a martial artist and working with her?
Well, just seeing how we sparred together, but above anything, just seeing her mindset and why she is a champion. I share in common with Joanna more than I share with any other fighter in the world. I see myself in Joanna when she was younger, and she always tells me that if I stay focused, I'm going to be a champion. She sees the way I train. She sees how hard I work, and she sees how we have the same passion for the sport. You know, we both cried together. And I just learned a lot from her from a championship mindset perspective. And, you know, I'm looking to follow in her footsteps and her advice.
Thanks, Valerie. Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Gareth Davies.
Good evening, Valerie from London. This is London calling.
Hello.
Hi, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, senora. I've got a kind of like a question that is probably slightly irritating. I'm writing a column in my newspaper on Friday about we've got the first ever all British women's world title fight on Friday night in boxing. Yeah, Terry Belter Harper, and Natasha Jonas. Natasha was in the Olympics in 2012. I covered both of their careers. Terry used to work in a chip shop, and now she stacks shelves in a supermarket as well as being a world champion. She's a beautiful person. There's been a few arguments back and forth in the last few days between Michaela Mayer, who you may know as well, the boxer, yeah, who was a USA 2016 Olympian, saying, if I want to put out, and I don't mean sexy, but if I want to put out pictures of myself in a bikini and market myself as hot, as beautiful, as well as being a fighter, you know, you do the same as well. Should we just be looking at that as legit because you're looking at the female form as well as looking at a fighter?
So I don't do anything for social media. I do things for myself. For example, I am an extremely girly girl outside of the cage. So the way I market myself is not for social media, and it's not for men. It's for myself. You know, this is the way I look. I've worked my whole life to have this body, to have this figure. I was a ballerina. I was a martial artist. You know, I do both. And I think that's where people mistake. It's not for social media. I am the way I look like, and I also am a fighter. You know, what does one thing have to do with another? You know, just because I look different than other martial artists doesn't make me any different. It's my identity. This is why Valerie Loretta is different. You know, I'm a broadcast journalism major. I have different passions outside of the cage, and that's okay. The way I am doesn't mean I market myself like that. It means I'm a normal girl who has an education outside of the cage, and that's what should be recognized.
So it's systemic, like you say. It's the whole issue of people having an issue with it. It's just systemic, and it's nothing to do with individuals because
it's just jealousy. It's just jealousy, and they're not educated in that aspect. They've never seen it before, and they can't handle it, but they will when they see me fight in the cage.
Many thanks. Sorry about the irritating question, but it's great for my
No, thank you.
Have a great fight tomorrow, Friday night, yeah?
Thank you.
Our next question goes to Mike Pendleton.
Hi, Valerie. So recently I know you talked about your connection with George and obviously down there in Florida, Miami, and wanting to be like an influence for the Cuban community. But my question is, aren't you already doing that, right? 2 pro fights, you've won both. You're knocking on the doorstep of a bigger point in your career. And I think in that Latin and Hispanic culture, they already look at you, an actress, all that you do, everything that you do. Aren't you already there? I know you don't have a BMF title or anything like that, but you're already there. You're already making an impact in the community.
Yes, I am making an impact. You know, I'm the first Cuban female fighter to come out of Miami. You know, I hold a lot of responsibility on my heart to represent our community, you know, but George is who he is. You know, I follow a lot of his footsteps. I feel like I am getting there, but I'm very hard on myself, and I feel like I'm not there yet, and I'm not complacent. I'm not satisfied. I'm not going to stop until I'm 10-0, have that belt, and I'm the first Cuban American woman to have the belt for Bellator.
So my last follow-up here is, with that, don't you like to shine in multiple avenues in your life to not only show them you could be a world-class fighter, you're on your way to becoming a champion, but while, and almost similar to the last question you received, you can be a beautiful woman, you could thrive in other industries. but you can also be a world champion inside the cage.
Yes, that's my message. I think a lot of people don't understand it because it's too much for them to handle, but this is who I am. This isn't for marketing. This isn't for social media. This is who Valerie Loretta is in and out of the cage. This is who I am. I don't feel comfortable with myself as a woman or training hard if I'm not being myself and staying true to my identity. This is who's going to make me who I am. This is what's going to make me recognized by the public. And this is what's going to make me a role model to other women and young girls who feel like I do and feel like they're stereotyped for doing a sport that's more male dominated.
Well, I know a lot of the Latin Hispanic community is obviously looking up to you, especially young girls. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, sir.
All right, our last question will come from Andrew McCarroll.
Hi, Valerie. Hope you're well.
Hello.
I know you had to drop out of the Olympic team when your mother became unwell. I know she's a badass in her own right. I think she took her black belt while she was pregnant with you. How big of an influence has she been on your career? And is that where you get your mental strength from?
Well, my mom has 100% made me into the woman I am. My mother put it upon herself to keep me very feminine and give me a lot more aspects of life outside of taekwondo because my dad was so narrowed into only taekwondo. So my mom is the reason that I'm like this. My mom has styled me. My mom has put me a dance since I was little. My mom has done my makeup. My mom is my image. My mom represents me. And when she got sick, I learned a lot about myself and my mom. If she was able to survive something like that and fight that for me and my two sisters, what is fighting in a cage and getting hit in the face? That's nothing really. When I saw my mom suffer the way she did, I know that my mom could beat that. I could beat anything, it's in my blood. My mom did it for us. My mom survived that for me and my two sisters. And I promise you, I'm going to give my mom back. And I'm going to change her life for the rest of our lives. We're going to be set for life because I'm doing this for my family and to prove to the world that we're special and my mom is the most special human being in the world.
That's lovely. You were on a reality show there recently as well. Jorge Masvidal said that was kind of like the turning point in his career when he was in that he found a renewed focus. Coming out of the back of that, have you found a different mindset going into this that you were able to do from competing in another event?
So being on that reality show, I had to face a lot of adversity. It was the hardest experience of my life, but it made me the most mentally tough and mentally and physically that I've ever been in my life. I got off that show and I had to reevaluate a lot of things in a different perspective and what truly I wanted for myself, who I wanted around my life, and what route I was going to go in. So that show, just being away from social media, being away from the phone, being away from my family, being away from martial arts, being away from hot water, being away from coffee, everything I had on a daily basis just makes you so grateful for what you have. And it really just forces you to lay down and think all day when you're not filming, and it gives you a new focus, and my focus was never lost. My focus was also always that I need to prove myself as a martial artist no matter what. I could be successful in any other career, but I need to prove myself as a martial artist. Something's telling me in my heart. I've sacrificed, I've cried, I've bled too much from when I was little at this school. I had an extremely hard upbringing with my father as my grandmaster, and it's not going to go to waste. I'm going to use this to be great and show the world who I am.
All right. Thank you very much, Valerie.
Perfect.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We'll be joined by Curtis Millender very shortly. Stand by. All right. We are now being joined by Curtis Millender. We will go to our first question. Your line is live.
Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate your time today. And my question for you is, you're 3-2 now in Bellator. This is your third stint with the promotion. Where do you see yourself right now in Bellator MMA?
You said one more time?
Oh, yes. You're 3-2 right now in Bellator. Third run in the promotion. You just came off a win over Moses Murrieta. So where do you see yourself in the promotion right now?
I feel like with a win, a dominant win, I can be, right on my way to the top of the promotion. There's a lot of good fights for me at 70 and 85. So, everywhere I go, I want to be successful everywhere I go. So, if I go to a promotion, I'm here to take it over.
Is that a goal of yours then, to be a two-weight class champion at 170 and 185?
Yeah, I want to 70 first, but I've been dipping and dabbling back and forth with the 185 thing. So I'm sure I can do both.
All right. And how do you feel about Saba Umasi as an opponent? He's got some very nasty power shots, but I'm sure you've got a lot in store for him as well.
Unfortunately for him, that power, you got to get close. It's a lot of things you got to get through. Speed kills power every time. So, he has to cross that line, and unfortunately, that line has fireworks. It's fireworks at that line, bombs at that line. It's a rough place to be.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to you dropping bombs on Friday. Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Giancarlo Alino.
Hi, Curtis. You've had to adapt to this new norm now, like a lot of fighters, with the gym protocols and changing the way everyone prepares for fights. So how have you adapted to this new norm and preparing for this fight?
It's given me a lot more time to just become a better fighter, not just physically, but mentally too. I've always been a fight nerd. I watch a lot of fighting. I do a lot of things to mentally prepare myself for fights, but this just added to it. More time to watch video, not so much strain on the body because I'm not able to train like I normally do. I got to add some weightlifting, which I was not really against, but I've never really done too much like heavy weightlifting, but I was able to add that. So it's been a plus for me.
And what's been the most difficult part about that? Like, is it more like the striking or working with a training partner? Like, how has it changed the way you do things on a day-to-day basis?
I wouldn't say it's been any difficulty as far as the preparation. I just miss everybody. I just miss everybody. That's all. So I haven't been able really to work out with my head striking coach as much as I wanted to during this whole thing. But it's we were able to sit down and talk. And he's a great teacher, so even him just talking to me and explaining things to me goes a long way.
And final question for me, just now the new thing with no fans is a new norm. So any thought to that? Does it change anything for you coming into this fight?
No, not really. I know people are watching, so I can still go out there and perform, just whether it's an audience here or on TV. I know I'm still being watched, so I know I still have to perform.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, our next question comes from Ben Keeley.
Hi, Curtis. So you said that you're missing people during the lockdown. Have you taken on any new hobbies or projects apart from the weightlifting during the lockdown?
Just cooking a lot more, gaining weight, and the weightlifting, just working with different things. I added like club bells and the Atlas bars. So that's it really, a lot more reading.
And is the weight that you put on, is that what's making you think about possibly moving up to middleweight?
I was contemplating it before the quarantine. I fought in January. It was supposed to be at 85. So, and we ended up going to 80. So I've been contemplating it for a while. I'm getting older. I've never struggled to make 170. It's not hard at all to make 170, but as I'm starting to get older, I don't want to put a lot of miles on the body. So anything that can, make me get to these fights a little easier and more healthy. That's the real goal behind it.
One fighter that you seem to be always linked with a fight with is Michael Venom Page. I'm just wondering, is that chapter over now, or do you think that fight will ever happen?
I mean, a very, very tiny part of me believes it may happen eventually, but I'm not. If it happens, it happens.
Okay. One last one for me. I know you like to study fights. Just who are your favorite fighters to watch at the moment?
Right now, Stylebender, Aaron Pico, and those are probably like the main two right now outside within MMA. But watching a lot of boxers, I'm trying to add some new things without really giving it away. I'm trying to go to the body a little more.
All right, our next question comes from Kevin Varghese.
Hey, Curtis. Dope fit, by the way.
Thank you very much, sir.
One question for you is, you said a couple of days ago that you're planning on testing free agency. In January, you said you wanted the MVP fight. So, are you gonna, if you win this fight this Friday, do you plan on, staying around to see if you can catch up to MVP, or do you want to probably go to possibly UFC, one championship? Look where your moves will be.
I have a family to support and take care of. So it's always, where my services are always going to be to the highest bidder. And that's just because I have people to support and to take care of. But as far as like the MVP thing, like I said, it is what it is. But, when somebody keeps dangling, giving you stuff and then taking it away, that gets old real fast. And that's how I feel about MVP.
All right, so recently we saw Kamaru Usman, defeat Jorge Masvidal for the UFC welterweight championship. If say you were to match yourself up against Kamaru Usman, how do you see yourself, fighting against even the champions right now, against Kamaru Usman, Bellator's champion Douglas Lima? How do you see yourself right now as a contender?
I feel like I can compete, especially now with this new confidence with just being on the ground. I get a lot of backlash just for my wrestling, or for the lack of my wrestling that they think I don't really have. But just even with the last fight, just applying it, seeing how easy it is just to apply my skill set and the comfort level that I have with just applying it, it's made me a way better fighter. So I wouldn't be worried about neither one. It'll be a good fight with Usman and a phenomenal fight with Douglas Lima. Like that would be crazy. That'd be really fun. But I feel like I can beat them both. You have to feel like you beat them both. If you don't think you can be a champ, you need to go sit down and do something different.
Our last question comes from Andrew McCarroll.
Hi, Curtis. Hope you're well.
Right.
I know you're a big WWE fan. Who do you like there? And is that a career choice you'd be interested in?
Oh man, Randy Orton. Randy Orton, that's the man. That is, and so Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is like, to me, might be my favorite guy of all time on the mic already.
So milling there by RKO. I'm going to put that as my bet down.
Right.
You were saying after how things finished with the UFC, you felt you were fighting with a chip on your shoulder now. After things have ended the way they did, how do you feel now with your third one with Bellator?
I still have to have that chip on my shoulder. Even though it's the past of the past, but what I did in January was amazing. So I can't change it. I got to continue to fight with the chip on my shoulder so I can continue to go out there and have performances like I did last time.
You had obviously the MVP fight and then the Joe Schilling fight. Would have been kind of two big signature fights for you. Take away from you. You said that you're going to test free agency. Scott Coker and Bellator come to you and say, pick who you want to sign on the dotted line and stay. What's the name that comes out of your mouth?
To tell you the truth, at this point, Joe, I have a really fun story about why I want the Joe Schilling fight so bad. It'll come. I'll tell it eventually. So I got to save it so we have some stories.
So I don't get big stories. So thanks a lot.
No
really
problem.
appreciate that. Thanks very much, Curtis. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, cheers. Thank you very much, Curtis. We appreciate your time.
No problem. Oh.
Next up will be Matt Mitrione. He'll be joining us shortly. All right. We are now being joined by Matt Mitrione. We'll go to Steve Jewin for our first question. Your line is live.
Thank you. And Matt, it's a pleasure to talk to you again. A few months ago when the pandemic was just getting underway, you told me that if you could put your name in a hat and get a fight on short notice, you'd be happy to take it. Is that how you describe getting this fight with Timothy Johnson?
I don't know. I guess maybe possibly a little bit, but like I said, man, I mean, I think anybody who knows me knows I'm game. Hell, when Tall Steve Mowry got his fight canceled because of what went on, I tried to jump in that fight too. It just wasn't possible. Like hey man, I compete at any cost, and if I can do it and it's feasible, they know to call my phone, and I always answer.
All right. Earlier, Timothy Johnson told us he felt like his career had entered a new chapter with his win over Tyrell Fortune. So how do you see him after that performance? How do you think you match up with him?
I think I match up with anybody relatively well, but I think honestly, I think Timothy is very accurate with that, with his take on his career, and I think that's a very good self-evaluation. I think that he almost in theory was being written off, right? He got slept by Congo, and Congo doesn't punch anybody anymore. Then he had a fight with a guy that I don't remember who it was supposed to be, but then Minikoff took it and he got mollywopped by Minikoff. So then they're like, okay, look, we're going to throw him to Tyrell. And I think Tyrell just took him a little bit lightly. I don't think that he took him as seriously as he should have. Tyrell, and we've trained a lot, and I'm not ripping on Tyrell. I think it was just a learning experience. I think that he kind of fell in love with his hands a little bit, and I think that he didn't have the mobility or the athleticism or especially the lateral mobility that he normally does. And I think that Timothy was able to capitalize on it. And I don't think that I think that you have to remember at all times we're heavyweights. And when you fight another heavyweight, he's just as strong as you are, and he can touch your chin and turn it off just like that. And I think that's what happened. So I think that that's correct. I think Timothy has a lot of attention. He just stopped a pretty aggressive hype train, and I think he should be feeling himself a little bit.
All right, final thing for me before I let you go, Matt. Timothy said in an ideal situation, he would do what Ryan Bader did, and that would be to take you down. But unlike Bader, he would go for a finish on the ground. What do you think about that scenario unfolding in the fight where he's on top of you?
Sweet.
Well, it will be sweet. We're looking forward to what happens on Friday, and I hope you have a great performance. As always, Matt, thanks for the time.
Thanks, man.
Our next question is from Arkady Sachkovsky.
You got to try that again.
It's hard. It's hard, man.
I would feel so disrespected if I were you. I would get on Danny's butt right now.
Nah, you should see my teachers break their teeth when I was younger.
I bet.
So, hello from Israel.
What's up, brother?
How are you?
I'm great, man.
First of all, I have a question for you about the rumor that started, especially on Russian websites, about possibly a rematch against Fedor, possibly in Russia.
Awesome. I was just talking about that today, as a matter of fact. Like, how awesome would that be to go fight Fedor in Moscow? That would be so dope. That'd be awesome. Great. If that's
Cool.
a rumor, let's make it real. Let's do it.
Cool. So I already have a headline. The second thing, during the pandemic, how was it training with all the regulations?
Yeah, it didn't affect us really that much at all. I live in Indiana, and that's not a destination state, so not many people go there. It's not like going from New York to Florida. So it wasn't that big of a deal. It was really just kind of wear a mask, stay amongst your own business. But it was like kind of our regular life as it normally is. Like, we go to the gym, you go back home, you sleep, you do the exact same thing over again. So it really wasn't that much of a change for us.
Cool. And the last question, you visit here in Israel. You visited us and you were a color commentator. So you weren't busy with fighting and training and all these nervous things. How was it here in our little and pretty loud country?
How was it? It was great, man. I had a great time in Israel. It was a great experience. Had a great time. Got great looking women over there. It was awesome, dude. Boy, I mean, all you gotta do is go there at some time when I know somebody. Actually, I was talking with what's his name? The fighter, the 170 pounder guy.
Chaim Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gonzalez. Yeah, great dude, man. I was talking with Chaim, and he's like, dude, come on over. I'll take care of you. I was like, brother, if you're going to take care of me, I'll be all right.
Yeah, Chaim really know how to take care of his people. Great, man. I hope you the best and wish you luck on the fight.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Our next question will go to John Eric Polai.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
So good I could be twins, brother.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, let's get started here. I want to ask you first your stance in the division. I know that you're coming off of a loss there, but just how close do you think you are to fighting for the belt? Because obviously you were in that Bellator Grand Prix, and you were in the semis there and fought Bader, who's now the champ.
Man, I tell you what, that is way above my pay grade. I don't get paid enough to worry about it. I don't get paid enough to talk about it. Doesn't matter to me. I do my job. They call me and I answer the phone. So they call me and answer the phone and say, hey, look, we're going to do this. I'll say, all right. They call me and say, hey, we're going to do that. I say, all right. That's my answer.
All right, man. Fair enough. And then another thing I want to ask you, I know you've, with mostly due to COVID too, a lot of fighters have been out for quite some time. What have you been working on during this time and improving while you've been away from the cage?
Well, I found out that I'm one hell of a baker, right? Like I can bake cakes and pies. I've really impressed even myself, which is hard to do, with my baking prowess.
So I know you said cakes and pies. Are you bake cookies too? Are you on that too, or not that far yet?
Actually, I've been doing this thing called a bang bang cookie. Have you ever heard of that before?
I haven't. No, what's that?
Well, it's so you first of all you put entirely too much sugar in it, and then after you start baking it, after I think it's like 5-minute intervals, you just pull it out and you drop the cookie sheet on the countertop so it kind of flattens them out. And then you do that probably 3 or 4 times I think it's like 2 minutes after you do it the first time. And then they bake, and instead of being puffy and thick, they're really flat and chewy. And they are super duper dope.
That sounds absolutely delicious. And then, Matt, just the last thing for it, because I know the people have questions here. Being a guy that was a college football player and played in the NFL, I know both college and pros are kind of figuring things out. Do you think football should happen this season, given what's going on in the world right now?
Hell yeah. I think any time for football is a good time for football. And look, man, I think that we're all in the demographic where it's not terribly relevant to us as far as health-wise. I think that the chances of catching something are really slim to none. I think that you sign a waiver and you go play the game. I think, but also I have a 2-part position on this. I feel that America needs a reality break, right? So I think that's what sports do. I think that involving politics and social justice concerns in sports is a recipe for disaster, and I think it'll turn a lot of people off. That being said, I also think that a majority of the people that had interest in sports before the quarantine realized that they weren't doing jack shit with their lives except for watching other people live theirs while sitting on a couch. And I think that they found ways to entertain their lives and fulfill their lives, enrichen their lives via whatever method that was. So I don't know if sports viewership will be anything close to what it was before anytime soon.
Our next question comes from Mike Pendleton.
Hey, Matt, kind of following up on that, because obviously MMA was the first sport back, and it has a bubble, and you're seeing success of sports that have a bubble. Obviously, Bellator took their time coming back. As a former football player, I heard your last answer, but do you think there should be a bubble in place for these 32 teams throughout the country in the NFL?
Yeah, I would probably say yes. But I mean, if you're going to ask me anything other than do I think there should be a bubble, I'm gonna have to defer to the professionals on that. I have spent quite literally so little time thinking about other people's lives that I'm far removed from it. But I think I guess in the interest of safety, I think that would make sense.
No, absolutely. That was the only thing on that, just because we have seen the success in the sport that you're in. And to that point, obviously Bellator didn't rush to come back. And now that they have everything in place, how happy are you to to be back, inside the Bellator cage and the way they're handling all of this?
I haven't won a fight since I beat up the Vagrant however many years ago. So I am really looking forward to getting back in there and doing work and getting my hand raised again, because honestly, that really helps me feel better about myself.
My last question here, Matt. You keep saying that you answer the phone call no matter what. How do you not get dejected? Obviously, there's so many fighters who could look at their record and get down on themselves, want to walk away, but you just pick up the phone and you're ready to accept any time.
Because I'm game, brother. I'm game. I'm down for the cause. I've always been down for the cause. I get texts from Chael all the time being like, man, we're one of the two cut from the same cloth and there's not many left. Like, you're almost a last of the Mohicans anymore. And like, you're damn right I am, brother. Like, I say yes. I compete at all costs. I may win, I may lose, but I'm going to go out there, I'm going to bust my butt, and I'm going to give the best show I can. And if you like me, cool, awesome, let's go get weird. And if you don't, well, I don't really care that much, to be totally honest. So I think that's why I don't get dejected. If I get a job, cool, let's go make some money, and let's go put on a show. And if you don't get a job, well, what the hell, at least I tried.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We'll be back with Michael Chandler very shortly. All right. We're now being joined by Michael Chandler. We will get these questions started with Steve Jewin. Your line is live.
Michael, thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I want to know right off the bat, because there is such a weird dynamic between you and Benson Henderson. He says that he respects you. He respects what you've accomplished in Bellator. He respects you for adopting a child, but he doesn't like you. What does that mean to you when a fighter says they respect you, but they don't like you?
It's interesting. I think the funny thing about me and Benson is I think we stand for a lot of the same things. I think our values are in line. I think the way we see the world in a lot of ways is very similar. I respect him a ton as well. I love that when we did an interview a couple of weeks ago or whatever, he had his kids crawling all over him. And it's just, he's a family man. He's a fighter. He's been able to take his wrestling background, turn it into world championships and hopefully legacy type of money to be able to take care of his family and provide for his family for the next however many decades. It doesn't matter. I think the funny thing is you can't really like someone too much when you're about to compete against them or when you know you're going to compete against them. Let's be honest. Benson Henderson signed with Bellator. We fought. I beat him. Since then, he's known that we were going to fight again. So knowing that you're going to have an impending bout eventually also guards your heart a little bit from thinking too highly of anybody. So doesn't bother me. Either way, whether he likes me, dislikes me, hates me, or loves me, we got to step into the cage. So let's go.
Well, speaking of that rematch happening eventually, you called for it the moment that fight was over when you defended the world title successfully, but he had that great fifth round against you, and it was a split decision when it went to the judges. So do you look forward to proving your point with this rematch?
I do. You just gotta know how to beat Benson Henderson. The first fight taught me exactly how to do that. Watching his last couple fights has taught me exactly how to do that. So Friday night, I'll show you guys exactly how to do it in a dominant fashion. And I just don't know how anybody could have scored that for him. I don't know how anybody could score it anything more or anything less than 3-2 me. But either way, it's not about the judging. It's about me going out there and getting my hand raised.
All right, final question for you, Michael. You mentioned legacy a little bit earlier. What is going to be your legacy after this Benson Henderson fight?
I don't know, because legacy is just constantly in motion until I'm done with this fight career. I've been extremely blessed with a very well-enabled body. I think I have another 5 years left in me, at least, if not 7 years. I feel great. I love the sport of mixed martial arts. I love what I'm doing. I love I love the lifestyle I get to live. So for me, my legacy is constantly in motion. As of right now, if my fight career ended after this fight, I'd be the most decorated Bellator fighter of all time. I'd be I'd be involved in one of the best symbiotic relationships between a fighter and a promotion that there ever has been in mixed martial arts. Bellator is who they are because of the performances I've put on for them, and I am who I am because of the promotion and the platform and the bright lights that and the opportunity that Bellator has given me. So, got a lot left to keep on proving at this legacy of who I am, and what I'm all about.
We look forward to seeing that on Friday
Our
night.
next question will go to Steven Morocco.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello? Okay, great. So, Mike, is it just about hitting a certain number for you to stay with Bellator after this fight?
It's an interesting question. I mean, obviously a numbers are very important. We fight for money. We are prize fighters. So we'll see. There's a couple different factors that you got to look at. Obviously I've made it no secret. I'm extremely happy with my career thus far and extremely happy with my decision every single time to stay with Bellator, re-sign with Bellator. So we'll see if that happens again.
Have you negotiated at all prior to making the decision, I'm going to go into free agency?
A little bit. We spoke months ago and we started talking roundabout ballpark figures. And then the pandemic happened and all that, things got busy, and either way I wasn't chasing, we weren't chasing Bellator down to try to get a deal done necessarily. If it was going to get done, it was going to get done, and they wanted to keep me, they would have to, make me an offer. And here we are. Got to fight Friday night.
And when do you think you'll make that decision? Is it just depend on what happens on Friday night, or have you said like, I'll get back to you at X time, or X will happen before we talk?
Well, I think the X is this fight happening before we talk. I think I'm going to go. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to go out there and put a dominant performance together. I'm going to get my hand raised Friday night. I think I'm going to be hanging out here at the casino and maybe grabbing a pizza or something. And because I haven't, let the diet hang out at all for the last 12 weeks, I'm going to be sitting around with my favorite people in the world, my teammates and my closest of kin. And I think I'm going to be getting, maybe a phone call from Bellator to start talking. And maybe we'll have some talks before I leave Uncasville, Connecticut. Maybe we won't. So we'll see what happens.
How's your son doing?
He's doing awesome. Awesome, but he misses dad. These last 12 weeks as a fighter have been absolutely phenomenal. But as a fighter, as a father and a husband, it's been tough. Being away from my son. He's old enough now to know that daddy has to go to work, and that he's old enough to know that daddy needs to be there. Daddy should be there. So to be away from him and be away from my wife, my two favorite people in the world, it was extremely hard. But all the sacrifices are going to come to a culmination, and all be worth it when I get my hand raised on Friday night.
Your teammate Kamaru says he has a favorite ritual of getting Thai food with his daughter. Do you have a favorite post-fight ritual with your son and your wife?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we go to True Food. We eat at this restaurant called True Food all the time. I mean, we love going out to eat. We love taking him to different places, getting him socialized, showing him all the city we live in, taking him on vacations. Definitely a vacation is in the works. I don't care if there's travel bans or not. We're gonna figure something out. The Chandlers are going on vacation after this. My wife deserves it. My wife deserves to be sitting on a beach somewhere, or she deserves to be surrounded by some palm trees somewhere for all the hard work she puts in, plus all the support and service that she shows me every single day. So a Chandler vacation needs to happen ASAP. And I definitely love Thai food, and we eat Thai food often as well.
All right. Well, best of luck on Friday.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, we have time for one more question. We'll go to Ben Kiley. Your line is live.
Hi, Michael. So obviously this is the last fight of your contract. Just if promotions and contracts weren't a barrier, who would your dream opponent be? Like, would it be Khabib? Would it be the trilogy with Eddie Alvarez? Would it be the rematch with Pitbull? Or what would who would be top of your list if there was no barriers?
It's hard. I mean, yeah, when you think about barriers or you think about just different things, you fight Khabib because he's the number one guy in the world. You fight Eddie because you cap off the trilogy. But really you fight Conor because it's the biggest fight with the most eyeballs, So there's those different kind of 1A and 1B. I would also love that Pitbull rematch. You know, I think obviously that fight ended very quickly. I zigged when I should have zagged. He caught me, and I believe I'm a better fighter on any given night, and I beat him 9 times out of 10. He just caught me that one time. So I'd say those would be my four
Tough
fights.
You always
I'd
come
really
back from. You always bounce back. How do you where do you get that mental fortitude to come back from a tough loss or coming back from a tough losing streak? And how do you overcome the fear of failure?
I think that was the thing, you know, fear of failure is the most poisonous drug you can ever take in your entire life. Being afraid to fail. And then once you have a failure, trying to run as far away from that failure as possible. And I think that's what I did. I hid myself. I was up for Fight of the Year. They wanted me to come to the World MMA Awards and present an award and accept my award for Fight of the Year. And I didn't go. And I was getting calls from all these different media, all the different media, all the big name medias. And I said, no. And I just hid myself. You got to put yourself out there for all the world to see, because if you fail while daring greatly, you're only going to get criticism for the critics who are sitting on the sidelines. And I realized that during that skid. I realized that kind of long ago, that you never get criticism from people that are above you. You only get criticism from people that are behind you or below you. And a lot of times you are your own worst critic, and your inner dialogue, your inner talk is the most detrimental things that you can hear in your entire life. So for me, it's also just realizing how truly blessed I am to have 2 capable hands, 2 capable arms, 2 capable legs, to be able to go out there and perform in front of millions of people and do something not a lot of people get to do, that's inspiring, that's uplifting, that is a metaphor for life. Fighting in a cage for a living is a metaphor for life, and I'm painting a masterpiece every single time I step into that cage. So it's a wonderful, beautiful blessing of a life that I get to live, and to give anything less than my best, or to ever quit, to ever see failure as an option, or ever see quitting as an option, would be to squander those gifts that I've been given. So I just kept going, and here I am.
And one last one for me. Will your son be watching, and does he understand that you're kind of that you use fighting as a metaphor for life, and the lessons that you want to teach him through fighting?
He won't be watching. He'll be sleeping. But and even if he was awake, or even if it was before his bedtime, we wouldn't have him watch. I don't think. He doesn't really watch it much. But I wrote a letter to him the other day, talking to him about how someday he will understand the sacrifices that his dad had to make to provide for him, to provide for his mom, my wife. And he'll understand that men have to go to work. He'll understand that men have to put their work boots on. No matter what form or what fashion, we were put on this earth to do some amazing things and to pour our heart into our passions. And he's going to see he's going to see someday through YouTube and through the videos and through my documentary that I'm putting together, and through one of my best friends, Drew, who we've put together so much of my career on the screen through the camera lens. That someday he'll be able to watch this masterpiece, and hopefully he'll know who his dad is, not because of what I told him, not because I said I was this or I was that, but because of the people that I was around, or my legacy amongst fans, or the people that I came into contact with, or the people that I worked with, would say, your dad is a great man and a great competitor because of X, Y, and Z. I don't want to have to tell him. I want other people to say it. And that's my goal every single day. I realized the day that I held him for the first time and made a promise to him that I was going to take care of him for the rest of his life, that was my number one mission in life, to show him that he is going to love because he was first loved, and that he was going to achieve and aspire and be a man of integrity because that was the example that I tried to set for him.
All right, thank you, Michael. Best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Daniel.
We will go to Sabah Hamasi next. Just a moment. All right. We're now being joined by Sabah Hamasi. Our first question comes from Kevin Varghese. Your line is live.
Hey, Sabah. Kevin from Overtime Heroics here. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing well. As you know, there's a great tragedy that struck Beirut in Lebanon. You're from of Lebanon ancestry. What are your thoughts on the current situation right now?
It's crazy, man. What's been going on, but for the people that were affected by it, my prayers go out to everyone out there. I actually did have an aunt that her home got damaged pretty bad, so I'm just glad everyone's safe on my family's end. So that's about it.
So with this fight coming up, what do you plan on doing with the Curtis Miller? He has a wrestling heavy style. Do you plan on negating his wrestling and making him stand up with you, or are you gonna welcome him to the ground?
It's a fist fight, man. I'm going in to fight, so I'm gonna go in there and fight my fight. Wherever I want to take it, I can take it. So if I want to strike with this guy, if I want to take him down, if I want to, I can do whatever I decide to do. So it all come down to once that cage door closes.
All right, last question. With Bellator, being in this pandemic situation, do you see yourself fighting very soon, or do you plan on taking some time off before picking your next fight?
I hope to stay active. So if I hopefully no serious injuries or, hopefully I come out healthy from this fight, and I would like to get back into it. So we'll see. We'll see what Bellator has in store for me.
All right, Sabah, thank you so much, and good luck on your fight this Friday.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Sabah, can you tell us a little bit about your training camp and how any adjustments you had to make due to the COVID pandemic?
I didn't really have to make any adjustments. Gym was open. So, got all the training in I needed to get in. So I'm prepared and ready to go.
Great. Our next question comes from the line of Gareth Davies.
Good evening, Sabah from London. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just going back over the question that the other chap posed to you about the explosion in Beirut. Do things like that affect you in a kind of inspiring way as well, that you want to go out there and win and then give a message and, talk out about, that you're doing this to make people more entertained or that we're all in a struggle. We're all in a massive global struggle, not to diminish what happened. I mean, it was extraordinarily frightening to watch that, wasn't it? And I think it's about the 12th one in the last 70 years that have happened with ammonium nitrate. But do you're a brilliant guy. Do you have a wider message? There aren't many fighters from the Middle East or from the Near East. And, Sadawad, yourself, I often find that you guys have a deeper meaning because of what's going on in your homeland,
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love, to get on the mic and after I get this W and say some words. It's a tragedy what happened, of course, and I would love to dedicate this W to everyone who, went through this tragedy. So it sucks, but of course, there's always things you're going to go through in life, and you always just got to get back on your feet and move forward. So this fight will definitely be dedicated to my family in Lebanon and everyone over there who was affected by it.
Thank you for that. Lovely words. Thank you. You mentioned that you did kind of normal things in lockdown, but I suspect you may have learnt things about yourself because we've all had to kind of be informed, whether it's Black Lives Matters or what COVID is, or just think a little bit more maybe that the world's changed, like the swans returned to the Venice Canal, the skies didn't have aeroplanes. It won't have been lost on you. All fighters have great radars. Things have changed during COVID, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely.
What did you learn about yourself? What are your observations during it?
I just think this COVID thing's a fluke a little bit. I think I don't know. It could definitely affect some people, but with a 99.7 survival rate, I'm not too worried about it. And those are my
Well,
thoughts on COVID.
that's the answer from the sleek shake. You're a fighter, so you know you.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, I maybe I have a different outlook on things, but you know, it's the facts. It's not really. I mean, take a look at. I mean, I don't know. India has 3.5. What was it? Billion. Their population is way more than ours, and their death rate is significantly lower than the U.S. And I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what's going on over here, but it would be nice to hear the truth and to put this bullshit behind us so people can get back to their normal everyday lives, because there's small businesses by my house that are closing down because they can't stay open or whatever the reason is, and they can't, afford to keep their business open. So they're shutting down, and it's sad to see, and like people who aren't working, not everyone gets to go to work and make some money and put some food on the table and whatnot. So there's a lot of people out there that are definitely struggling. And I think it's just wrong. Things just need to definitely get back to normal.
I appreciate you talking about global issues with me 48 hours before you punch someone in the face and they punch you in the face. I really do appreciate it because it's not the biggest thing on your minds. Have a great night on Friday night. I wish I was there. Go do it, Sleek Shake.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Our last question comes from Jared Mondavi.
Hey, Sabah, thanks for the time.
Are you there? All right, go ahead. Your line is live.
Hey, Saba, thanks for the time, man.
No problem.
You're one of 5 Bellator fighters on this card training out of South Florida. Can you speak on the talent that you have, not only in your gym, but really all over South Florida today in general?
Yeah, South Florida, there's a lot of high-level, fighters down there. I'm just happy to be a part of one of the best gym in the world. American Top Team has been the best gym in the world. My opinion since I've been there, but yeah, it's great. I love it. Got great coaches, great teammates. I'm just happy to be where I'm at.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Sabah. I appreciate your time. We'll be joined next by Miles Jury. All right, we're now being joined by Miles Jury. Our first question will come from John Eric Polai. Your line is live.
Hi, Miles. How are you?
Doing good.
So let's start with the fight here. It's your second fight back at 155 pounds. Just how much better do you feel fighting in that weight class as compared to featherweight?
Yeah, 155 is great for me. I get a lot more calories during the training camp and just feel stronger, bigger, just naturally more at this weight class. And man, it's another great opportunity for me.
And I know there's a lot of moving parts within the 155-pound division right now. Where do you see yourself within the division? Where do you think a win puts you?
I feel like the lightweight division for Bellator is wide open. I feel like, I've already fought the number 1 contender, very close fight. I felt like I won. I feel like I've beaten a top 10 guy in Gertz. I beat a veteran and a company man and Georgie. I feel like that puts me right up there, number 1 contender, man. I mean, who else is there? I feel like Chandler might be going on doing something else, and Bellator needs guys like me. So I feel like I'm right there in the mix.
And then just my last thing for you here. I want to ask you there too. You were saying that you feel like a win could put you next in line. With Pitbull having the lightweight belt and now currently being in the featherweight Grand Prix, what's your thoughts on these 2 division champions? Do you think that it kind of clogs up the division a bit now that you would want to fight for the title, but he's held up elsewhere with a different division?
Yeah, for sure, man. I feel like if you're not going to defend it, then move forward, let people fight for the belt. Because that, at the end of the day, he's just holding it up. There's a lot of guys out here fighting that want that belt, and without him defending it, it's like, well, what are you doing, dude? Let's get moving.
Thanks, Miles. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, our next question comes from Ben Keeley. Your line is live.
Hi, Miles. Just wondering, how is the YouTube channel coming along?
YouTube is great, man. A couple times a week, inspiring people, educating people, talking about fighting and investing, man. Two great things.
Yeah, you give a lot of advice to fighters. Do you think that there should be more resources apart from like a former fighter on YouTube towards active fighters, giving them advice, especially earlier on in their career?
For me coming up, there's a lot of questions that I had that I had kind of had to figure out just from my own personal experience. And, I'm the type of guy when it comes to teaching, learning, that I'd rather throw a ladder down and pull somebody up instead of pull the ladder up and not let people climb up. That's all I'm doing, man. I'm just giving back wisdom, my experience from fighting to money to investing. And, it's up to people to take it how they want to.
Is it going to stop at YouTube, or are you going to like expand to like maybe an agent or a manager?
An agent? Oh, no. I'm just scratching the surface with YouTube, man. I feel like YouTube has so much potential, and I'm just getting started there. Right now, I have no intentions to do any management or any agent. That's man. When it comes to my career fighting, I'm busy enough there, and then with my family and doing some YouTube, my time is well spent, and my priorities are already taken.
So one last question for me then. With the lockdown measures in place, did you develop any new hobbies or any other projects apart from the training and the YouTube?
You know what? Lockdown or no, my days are pretty similar, man. I'm very, very aware that life's short, and I know what I want to do with my time. Each day when I wake up and I look in the mirror, man, I know what I want. And when it comes to just fighting, my family, and doing some YouTube, that's man, that takes up all my time. So no new hobbies.
All right, thanks so much, Miles.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Kevin Varghese.
Hey, Miles, how we doing?
Doing good. What's up, Kevin?
All right.
Talk to me, Goose.
Right now your focus is on the fight against Georgie. But at the same moment, Benson Henderson's also fighting on the same card. If this week's fight goes your way, is that a fight you trying to get back and avenge your loss?
Yeah, I'm focused on Georgie right now. I've been dialed in on him. Fight's gotten pushed back multiple times. That's all my focus is. And after this fight, I'll kind of speak my mind more on what you're talking about. But my main goal when I signed up with Bellator, goal-wise, is getting that belt. And Benson's up there, number one contender. Chandler, and that's basically it in my opinion. You got the champ, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on those guys.
The UFC just announced the undefeated Khabib's coming back to defend his undisputed belt against interim belt Justin Gaethje. What do you have to weigh on this fight possibly being one of the last two fights that you get to see one of the greatest lightweights fight in the world?
From a fight fan perspective, that fight interests me, man. Gaethje's exciting, Khabib's exciting, and man, I'm just I'm definitely interested in checking that fight out. Whether it's Khabib's last fight, second last fight, I don't care about that. I'm just interested in that fight.
One last question is, right now, Patricky Pitbull holds the featherweight belt and the lightweight belt. Right now, you said your pathway is to the title. Right now, looking at yourself, how do you see yourself in contention with the champ?
I feel good, man. I feel good. I match up well with him and anybody else. I mean, I'm sharp. I'm long. I have great experience. I got great ground game. I mean, I fought the best guys in the world. I'm only getting better. I'm young. I've just been in my zone lately too, man. And baby Pitbull, he's a 45er, man. He had a good fight against Chandler, but man, I match up well with all those guys, and I'll do great against them.
Our next question goes to Mike Pendleton.
Hey, Miles. Earlier, you referenced to being a fighter that Bellator needs, especially in this lightweight division. So what exactly is it that you are bringing not only to Bellator, but this lightweight division? As you said, two divisions are clogged up by the champion, a double champ. What is it about Miles Jury
Well, I mean, dude, I'm young, I'm good looking, I have a great skill set, and I'm a company man. Like when I show up, I make weight, I go out there, I fight. I'm a guy that Bellator can count on. And at the end of the day, I mean, look at the guys that are in this division. You know, they've either all had their shot and they've come, they've gone, and man, it's just time for new blood. And you know, look around, I'm here, and I'm ready. I'm not sitting around, you know, talking about stuff. I'm actually getting out there. You want to fight, you know, Henderson, first time, Dublin. Yeah, let's go. You want to fight a killer in Gertz? You're, you know, in Thackerville. Yeah, let's go. Like, I'm showing it. So that's what I bring to the table.
How much does that drive you, though? That the opportunity is here for you, that you are focused, you're not worried about anything else, you're young, like you said, you're willing to step up to anyone and everyone. Like, how much does that drive you to be like, there's nothing negative you guys can label me with?
Man, I just look at time and opportunity. You know, I have a lot to get done, and I don't have a lot of time. That's the way I look at it. And I'm doing what I love to do each day. I'm waking up, I'm around great people, great team, great teammates. You know, just everything is where it needs to be in my life right now. And that's exactly where I need to be. So I'm excited for these opportunities, and it's something that I take seriously and I don't let just pass by.
Adding to the list of qualities you just told me about yourself, I'm going to put a smart, professional, mature, and obviously responsible. That's why you're doing everything that you're doing. Why is it for you important to kind of attack, you know, the financial stuff, the fighter side, obviously your YouTube channel? Because I don't think someone as hungry as yourself, no matter what promotion they're in, would dedicate their time to making that stuff known, where you're taking that time. Most fighters in your predicament would say, I got to focus on getting to the top. I got to focus on taking the biggest fights and the most dangerous opponents. But you're able to kind of fluctuate your time to do all of it. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, when you look at time, you know, you prioritize your time. For me, my main focus is always fighting. Everything always comes secondary to it. When I have a fight, when I'm out of camp, everything still revolves around my training, my next fight, my next opportunity. And, you know, I prioritize my time in a way that my free time, instead of going out, messing around, doing silly stuff, I choose to go to YouTube. And, you know, the main reason for me is fighting, mixed martial arts, and money has just been so impactful on my life. I grew up, you know, in a small city outside of Detroit, Michigan. I didn't have a lot of money. I grew up a fighter, sleeping on couches, you know, crashing at friend's house, fighting for a couple of $100, just living in poverty, man, my whole come up, my whole career. And I chose a reality that, you know, I was just like, dude, I'm great at fighting. I'm focused on it. I know I'm going to make money eventually. It's just you with the skills that I have and the work that I'm putting in, they will not deny me. I'm going to make money. And I was just like, I want to make sure that I make the right decisions with my money to where I can put myself in a better reality, my future family in a better reality. And that was my take on money. And I just wanted to get on YouTube and give my thoughts on what I'm passionate about and what I know actually. So I was like, dude, what are the two best topics? I was like, fighting and finances. That's kind of how it started.
Well, I think you're teaching valuable lessons to not only other fighters that are coming, you know, before or after you, but also, you know, to people in the regular community who are not fighters. I think, especially during these times, you're doing great stuff. So best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, our final question comes from Andrew McCarroll.
Hi, Miles. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. I was just wondering, obviously you've said you've had these outside interests. You're obviously a very bright guy who can do a hell of a lot of things. When you were having your 3-fight skid, did the thought ever come into your head, maybe I should, you know, start moving on to my other interests? And if it didn't, where do you get that mental strength to power through when your back's against the wall?
You know, when I'm faced with adversity and continuing adversity, you know, one loss, another loss, you know, whole year of losses, you know, yeah, I'm not going to lie. There's times that, you know, my mind will try and drift. And I just always go back to like, what do I want? What do I want? And it always just drove me back to, I love fighting, man. I really do. And I do have to be honest with myself. If I'm never going to be a fighter that's just going to be past his prime and just be around. But I looked at myself and I talked to my coaches and I said, am I missing anything? Like, am I getting better? And they were like, no, man, no, you're getting better. I'm still loving what I'm doing. I'm growing as a fighter, as a man. And I was just like, you know what? All that other, the losses and the stuff that goes on, the noise in my mind, I was like, dude, it's time to just kind of let that go and focus on just overcoming the adversity and taking it one fight at a time. That's big for me, man. Just one fight at a time, not overlooking nobody, nothing, dude. Just, here right now, one fight at a time.
I know a few other people have mentioned it as well, but I'm a huge fan of your YouTube channel. There's countless stories of fighters, going broke after, their career ends. Do you think that there needs to be a kind of a formal process, the way American football now is implemented, where people who wouldn't necessarily have that information available or even know how to get that information and maybe formalize that process in some way? And is that something you'd be interested in doing after your career is finished?
No. I have no intention of trying to, make any type of formal change in the game in that aspect. My thing is, the fighters are the product. The fighters are the prizes, man. And I think the real question is just when and how much time will it take for the fighters to actually come together and get what we feel like we all deserve. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the time is, but I do know the fighters are the best thing, man. They're modern day warriors, gladiators. And all I'm doing with the YouTube channel is I want to give my opinion and my experience. Because at the end of the day, I feel like I should live my life not being scared to tell my experience, because no matter what, there's always people out there that it can help, it can inspire, it can educate. And if it wasn't for people that have actually, spoke their experience and what helped them financially or even in MMA, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I'm constantly learning from other fighters, other people that are, financially successful. So it's just the old give and then you receive.
And finally, there was a question you posed on your Instagram that I'd like to pose back to you. Did Carol Baskin kill her husband?
Yes, it looks like it.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, Miles. Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Miles. And just wanted to thank all the rest of the fighters and all the media for joining us today. Bellator 243 will take place this Friday night on Paramount Network, 10 p.m. Eastern. And tune in.